What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back. And from the SF Gate, wealthy Bay Area town grapples with, quote, attack on whiteness controversy. A planning commissioner in Los Gatos was censured by the town council for writing an email to a state agency that included what some say is racist language toward white people. So everything is racist now, we know that, but it only works in one direction, apparently. But now I guess somebody's standing up, because we know that for the longest time, there was only one group of people that you could say or do almost anything towards, and they just had to wear it. And if you were to say or do that very same thing to any other group, you will be burned at the stake, you will be canceled, you might be fired, you'd be kicked off social media, depending on where you are. You might be, brought up on charges. There was a guy in In-N-Out back during Christmas who was heckling some Asian TikTokers, and I believe they pressed charges against him, so who knows how far they're willing to take this. Town council members in the Bay Area town of Los Gatos censured one of its planning commissioners last week for writing an email that included what some say is racist language toward white people. Okay, we already read that. It says, now more than a week later, the commissioner, Kylie Clark, is still dealing with the fallout of the town council's public rebuke. Quote, I don't feel safe going to some of the meetings that I used to because a lot of the community members who are the most angry at me are in them. So that's been something that's kind of changed about my life since then, Clark said in an interview with the SF Gate. So, of course, this Kylie person writes a arguably racist email about white people and magically becomes the victim. Oh, I'm scared to go to the meeting because I said something that was racist and people are mad at it. So now I'm the victim every single time. In November, Clark wrote an email to the State Department of Housing and Community Development expressing concern over a referendum that was filed by a community group last summer, which opposes the construction of new housing units in the coming years. So, in one of these creepy, weirdo bureaucracies of overpaid people is just, writing. This is what they do. They write emails and try to come up with new rules that you have to follow, even though California is overbearing with rules, right? They just won't stop creating new regulations that you can't do anything unless it's shoot H under the Bay Bridge. That's the only thing that's okay, apparently. The referendum was fully paid for and passed by a few rich white anti-housing men in our town. Clark, who is white, wrote in her email, all right, so this is a virtue signaling white woman who is trying to gain a victim card and trying to, get up on the stack of the victim narrative and be an ally and just be an insane wokie by claiming that the white men are oppressing colored people, I guess, in the neighborhood, even though she's white. So this is where we are, that people don't even want to be themselves. So we hear about white privilege nonstop, and then this woman wants to not denounce, but wants to lash out at white people. We saw another story just a couple days ago of a white woman pretending to be Muslim or something. This is how it happens. These people just create their own facade, their own pseudo-reality, and expect you to live by it every single time. The email became public in January when the State Department of Housing and Community Development, as required, released every communication it had received about the Los Gatos housing plan between April 21 and November 18 of last year. Clark, who identified herself as a Los Gatos planning commissioner in her email, but said she was writing as a concerned citizen. So she now doesn't want to be white and now doesn't want to have the job that she has, but just a concerned citizen. Okay. She was not aware that her email would eventually be made public. Regardless, its release sparked weeks-long controversy that culminated with her censure by the town council during a special meeting on February 15th. At the meeting, members of the town council revealed that an quote, evaluation committee comprising the mayor, vice mayor, town manager, town attorney had been formed to discuss the language in Clark's email after members of the community complained. Despite the accusation that Clark's word amounted to a conflict of interest and revealed biases that could impact her work on the planning commission, the committee dismissed those concerns and instead argued that her email violated a section of the town's code of conduct that deals with divisive language. All right, so I guess that's good. I mean, at least they're trying to pretend that this is a two-way street, right? At least they're trying to hold her accountable. I highly doubt that anything real will happen, but at least now she knows that she can't just go willy-nilly for, trying to pretend that she is like this, white savior of Los Gatos. You know, at least she knows now, okay, well, these emails are going to be public. Maybe I shouldn't start smearing people just to get my virtue signal kicks. You know what I mean? The evaluation committee recommended censuring Clark for her actions, and the town council met last week to discuss that recommendation. Blah, blah, blah. Quote, I guess I'm one of those rich white men that she's speaking about, one resident said. Yeah, see, you're insulting the people that you live with. You're insulting the people that you live with. They're not allowed to have an opinion. They're not allowed to have an idea because you have been brainwashed by the media and think that every single thing that happens is somehow racist or homophobic or transphobic, all these things. She sounds like the stereotypical quote unquote Karen, right? Who on one end is going to call the police on black people barbecuing, but on the other end, she's going to, you know, sell her own neighbors down the river because she says they're doing something racist, but then what she said was racist. I mean, this is an absolute mess. This is like the Transformer stuff where it conflicts its own argument. But that's the whole point, right? As always, control and chaos. You don't have to follow any of these things to their logical conclusion, because if you did, then you would realize that it doesn't make sense. So what you should do is put your mask back on and shut up. That's what all of this stuff is about. Another resident claimed that Los Gatos, which according to the census data is 70% white in a state where just 35% of the population is white, is a very diverse community, and that Clark's comments show racial bias. And they're just going to point the finger at each other. You're racist, you're racist, you're racist. And it's like, dude, you guys are all just weirdos. Just give it up. Just stop pretending. You can make jokes. You can say things. You can have an opinion. Well, apparently you can't. It's just so hilarious to me that everybody's going to point the finger at each other saying that you're racist, because that's just the worst thing you could possibly be. It gets no worse than just being labeled a racist. And these people, they go home and, what happens, right? You go home and you cry and you get kicked off Facebook. Who cares? Stop pretending. Like, who knows what these guys even did? I'm sure the article, it's too wordy. I don't want to go through every single thing. My point is that finally somebody is standing. Look at this. It just goes on for far too long about these weirdo white people in Los Gatos going back and forth about who's racist. But the point is, everybody's going to point the finger at each other and claim that they're racist. So this woman is going to claim that the white men are racist, and the white men are going to claim that she's racist, because that's just the worst thing in the book, when they all should just shut up and stop pretending. Stop trying to be on their high horse. Stop trying to virtue signaling and just go talk about actual things that affect the neighborhood. Don't create problems and then try to solve them. Talk about the real problems and then try to solve those, because otherwise you're just wasting your time. But that's what these bureaucracies do. I don't know if that's actually her job or she has a real job and this is just something they do on the side. I don't know. Maybe this incredibly long article explained on that, but I don't really care. The point is, these people are absolute morons. Everything boils down to racism, and they just can't get over themselves. So, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe.